South Korean parliament introduces motion to impeach President Yoon Suk-yeol. And French government crumbles in vote of no confidence. Good afternoon, Salam Malaysia Madani. I'm Brendan Lepal. South Korea's parliament formally introduced a motion to impeach Yoon Suk-yeol last night, setting the stage for a historic vote which could oust the embattled president over a botched attempt to impose martial law. Yoon's declaration of martial law late on Tuesday attempted to ban political activity and censor the media in South Korea, which is Asia's fourth largest economy and a key United States ally. The shock move divided Yoon's ministers and unleashed 6 hours of political chaos. The impeachment motion against Yoon was reported to a plenary session that opened shortly after midnight in the early hours of Thursday morning. Following the introduction of the motion, a vote of impeachment must be held within 24 to 72 hours. Yoon, who won office by the slimmest margin in Korean history and whose approval ratings have hit a record low, said he declared martial law because he was worried about North Korean communist forces taking power in the country. The presidential office has defended the initial decision as strictly within the country's constitutional framework. Meanwhile, South Korean President Yoon Suk-yeol was still clinging to power on Thursday, with his party announcing they will oppose an opposition impeachment motion but forward after his stunning but brief imposition of martial law. However, his office said the Defense Minister Kim Yong-hyun had resigned, but other key allies, including Interior Minister Lee Sang-min, remain in office. Yoon has accepted the resignation of his defense minister amid growing criticism over the leader's short-lived declaration of martial law. South Korea's ambassador to Saudi Arabia, Choi Byung-hyuk, has been nominated as the new minister. Yoon suspended civilian rule late Tuesday and deployed troops and helicopters to parliament only for lawmakers to vote down the measure and force him into a U-turn in a night of protests and drama. They hold a large majority in the 300-member legislature and need only a handful of defections from Yoon's People Power Party, PPP, to secure the two-thirds majority needed to pass. But on Thursday, the PPP leader said that while he had asked Yoon to leave the party, he would block the impeachment motion. And in other news, Elon Musk's appointment to head a new government department has raised concerns about potential conflicts of interest. Despite these concerns, OpenAI CEO Sam Altman expressed confidence that Musk would not use his proximity to Donald Trump to harm business rivals, calling such actions profoundly un-American. However, the relationship between Altman and Musk has become strained in recent times. Musk, an OpenAI co-founder who later departed the company, is currently suing Altman's firm at Microsoft, claiming they shifted from the project's original non-profit mission. Altman was addressing concerns about Musk's announced role heading a new Department of Government Efficiency in the incoming Donald Trump administration. Musk became a close ally of Trump during his campaign, spending over $100 million to boost his presidential bid and joining him at rallies.
What about it?
How was it before you lobotomized it?
French opposition lawmakers brought the government down on Wednesday, throwing the European Union's second biggest economic power deeper into a political crisis. Far-right and left-wing lawmakers joined forces to back a no-confidence motion against Prime Minister Michel Barnier and his government, with a majority 331 votes in support of the motion. The hard left and far right punished Barnier for opting to use special constitutional powers to adopt part of an unpopular budget without a final vote in Parliament, where it lacked majority support. The draft budget had sought 60 billion euros in savings in a drive to shrink a gaping deficit. No French government had lost a confidence vote since Georges Pompidou's in 1962. Macron ushered in the crisis by calling a snap election in June that delivered a polarized parliament. With its president diminished, France now risks ending the year without a stable government or a 2025 budget, although the constitution allows special measures that would avert a United States-style government shutdown. The Palestinian representative to the United Nations on Wednesday accused Israel of ethnic cleansing in Gaza. The observer of Palestine to the UN, Riyad Mansour, added the only way to stop the violence was a ceasefire that saw the release of hostages and prisoners.
Ethnic cleansing is being carried out in broad daylight in Beit Lahia and all of northern Gaza. As I stand here, displaced families were bombed yet again in tents in Al-Mawasi, burned alive, while the whole world is watching.
Egypt and Qatar talked of their ongoing mediation efforts to restore peace, while other representatives condemned the humanitarian crisis in Gaza. Israel launched its offensive in the densely populated enclave October 7 last year. Their military campaign has since killed more than 44,400 Palestinians, injured many others, and reduced much of the enclave to rubble. Israel agreed to a ceasefire with the Lebanese armed group Hezbollah last week that halted fighting in a conflict that has unfolded in Lebanon in parallel with the Gaza war. However, the war in Gaza has ground on with only a single ceasefire more than a year ago that lasted for 1 week. Italy's Supreme Court heard cases related to the government's plan to divert migrants to Albania on Wednesday, but will take weeks to rule on its legitimacy, leaving Prime Minister Giorgia Meloni's flagship initiative in limbo. In recent months, Italy's lower courts have questioned the legality of taking migrants picked up at sea to Italian-managed camps in Albania, saying it was against European law. Under Meloni's plan, migrants from a government-drafted list of, quote, safe countries can be deported to Albania and repatriated more quickly after a fast-track examination and, in most cases, rejection of their asylum applications. The Supreme Court has been asked to review the legality of this list and to rule on appeals by the Interior Ministry against the rulings that invalidated the detention of migrants in Albania. After a hearing in Rome, the court would issue its verdict in the coming weeks. Lawyers for migrants have asked it to refer the matter to the European Court of Justice, ECJ. The ECJ has been called to return to the issue to clarify whether Italian judges acted correctly in interpreting its October ruling, but this is expected to take months. Meanwhile, the government has stopped sending migrants to Albania. Tense scenes unfolded in the Bahamas House of Parliament on Wednesday morning when an opposition member of Parliament threw a ceremonial mace out the window. Shenandoah Cartwright, deputy leader of the opposition Free National Movement (FNM) and MP for St. Barnabas, hurled the mace during a heated session. According to local press, Cartwright's action was sparked by Speaker Patricia DeVos' refusal to allow opposition leader Michael Pintard to address allegations in a U.S. indictment accusing members of the Royal Bahamas Police Force (RBPF) of alleged involvement in drug trafficking. Cartwright rose in defiance, then marched to the Speaker's desk, seized the mace, and, after multiple attempts to break the window, succeeded in throwing it outside.
Well, let me make a small address. Citizens of this country, members of this gallery, and members of this Honorable Assembly. In pursuit of being the Speaker today, I must say, this is a dark day in this political arena that we call politics.
Coming up, United Health CEO shot dead in a targeted hit. Stay tuned. Thanks for staying with us. A masked gunman shot dead a top U.S. health insurance executive outside a New York hotel Wednesday in an apparently targeted hit. United Healthcare CEO Brian Thompson was gunned down as he prepared to address investors, with the gunman firing several times before using a rented bike to flee in the direction of Central Park. Chief of Detectives Joseph Kenny said the shooter arrived on foot about 5 minutes before Thompson as pedestrians streamed past an access door to the Hilton. Kenny said he approached Thompson from behind and opened fire, cleared a jam in the firearm and fired again. The detective had no comment when asked at the press conference whether the killing could have been carried out by someone who had been denied insurance coverage for a medical condition. Minnesota-based Thompson's wife, Paulette Thompson, told NBC News outlet that he had received unspecified threats. United Healthcare is a major player in the multi-trillion-dollar U.S. healthcare market, providing workplace insurance as well as administering huge healthcare programs like Medicare and Medicaid for older and low-income people funded by state budgets. Mexican security forces reported that they had detained 2 men and made a historic seizure of more than a ton of fentanyl, valued at $304 million in Sinaloa. Mexican President Claudia Sheinbaum said during her daily news conference on Wednesday, the bust was the biggest in the country's history.
Piensen que el consumo de una persona adicta de fentanilo a lo largo de un año es como un sobrecito de azúcar. O sea, de ese tamaño es las dosis que se utilizan. Entonces, pensar en una tonelada de fentanilo, pues estamos hablando de más de 20 millones de dosis y cerca de 8,000 millones de pesos.
The seizure was carried out in 2 separate operations involving the Marines, the Ministry of Security and Citizen Protection, Ministry of Defense, the National Guard, and the Federal Prosecutor's Office. In November, United States President-elect Donald Trump said he would impose a 25% tariff on all products from Mexico until the flow of drugs, particularly fentanyl and migrants into the U.S., was controlled. The Civil Aviation Authority of the Philippines, CAAP, has announced a new partnership with the Civil Aviation Authority of Malaysia, CAAM, to enhance search and rescue SAR operations in the region. The 2 aviation authorities met on Wednesday to establish a dedicated SAR working group. The newly formed SAR working group will focus on developing strategies and improving coordination for aeronautical SAR operations. The goal is to strengthen the region's ability to respond effectively to emergencies and ensure aviation safety. The cooperation underscores the joint commitment of the Philippines and Malaysia to address SAR challenges, enhance regional cooperation, and ensure aviation safety throughout their territories. Prior to the partnership, CAAP had also signed agreements with Japan, the United States and Australia for capacity building and technical assistance. Red Cross staff and volunteers gathered in Geneva on Wednesday to pay tribute to their colleagues who lost their lives in 2024, a year marked by unprecedented violence against humanitarian workers. The gathering coincided with the tragic news of a Palestine Red Crescent volunteer killed in the Gaza Strip, bringing the total number of members killed worldwide this year to 32. IFRC expressed deep shock and outrage at the increasing attacks on humanitarian workers, emphasizing that aid workers are not targets and should be protected while carrying out their vital work. 2024 has become the deadliest year on record for humanitarian workers, surpassing the previous record of 280 deaths in 2023. The escalating violence in various conflict zones, including Gaza, Sudan and Ukraine, has contributed to this tragic trend. The candlelight vigil provided an opportunity for the Red Cross community to reflect on the sacrifices made by their colleagues. It is a somber reminder of the risks that humanitarian workers undertake to alleviate suffering. Malaysian startup Biotech clinched the top prize of 3 million yen at the Asian Entrepreneurship Award 2024. The annual event held in Kashiwa Noha, Chiba Prefecture, Japan, brings together promising entrepreneurs from across Asia to showcase their innovative ideas. Biotech impressed the judges with its unique approach and business potential, offering biotech waste management solution that converts organic waste into insect protein and fertilizer. The company's system can convert 1 ton of food waste into high-protein feed and fertilizer in just 7 days, reducing waste-derived carbon dioxide emissions by 96%. Its business model expects revenue from waste processing fees and product sales, with future income potential from carbon credits. This year's competition saw a strong field of 64 entries, with 15 companies advancing to the semi-finals and 6 reaching the final round. Finalists were evaluated by a panel of judges based on their innovation, business model, and potential for growth. Kebaya has been inscribed in the representative list of the Intangible Cultural Heritage of Humanity category by the United Nations Educational, Scientific and Cultural Organization, UNESCO. The Ministry of Tourism, Arts and Culture, Biotech, said Malaysia, together with Brunei Darussalam, Indonesia, Singapore and Thailand, successfully secured UNESCO recognition. The matter was announced during the 19th session of the Intergovernmental Committee for the Safeguarding of the Intangible Cultural Heritage (IGC-ICH), taking place in Asunción, Paraguay. According to the ministry, this listing marks Malaysia's 3rd successful joint or multinational nomination after the joint nomination of Pantun with Indonesia and the Wangkang ceremony with China, both made in 2020. This recognition also enhanced Malaysia's global visibility as a country with intangible cultural heritage treasures, which had the potential to become tourism products and contribute to the economy. Biotech described the success as a result of collective efforts, including close cooperation with ASEAN member countries such as Brunei, Indonesia, Singapore and Thailand, who had worked together to promote the kebaya as a symbol of regional heritage. In sports, De Bruyne revitalizes Manchester City in a win against Forest. Stay with us. Kicking off our sports segment this afternoon, Kawasaki Frontale enhanced their hopes of a place in the knockout rounds of the Asian Champions League Elite on Wednesday with a 4-0 thrashing of China's Shandong Taishan. The home side consolidated their hold on 4th, moving on to 12 points to cede 1 point behind Yokohama F. Marinos, Guangzhou FC and Vissel Kobe. Kawasaki went in front in the 3rd minute when Marcinho shot past Wang Dale after the Shandong goalkeeper had saved Yusuke Sagawa's left foot strike. The Japanese side increased their advantage with 4 minutes left in the first half as Yuki Yamamoto bent his free kick around the blind side of Wang's defensive wall, and the China international was unable to scramble across in time to save. Brazilian defender Jaziel steered a 65-minute header from Yamamoto's corner to Wang's right for his side's 3rd, and captain Shin Yamada added the 4th from close range in the 90th minute. The defeat leaves Shandong in 10th place on 7 points, 1 behind Thailand's Buriram United, who occupied the 8th and final qualifying berth for the knockout rounds. In another match, Ulsan Hyundai launched a second-half fight-back to down Shanghai Shenhua in the Asian Champions League Elite on Wednesday. Goals from Yago Carrillo and Kang Min-woo earned former champions Ulsan a 2-1 win over Leonid Slutsky's side in Shanghai to pick up their first points of the campaign. Shenhua drew first blood with Andre Lewis's 23rd minute header. But with goalkeeper Jo Hyun-woo in stellar form between the posts, Ulsan clung on despite being second best throughout the opening 45 minutes. Yago netted from the penalty penalty spot to equalize the 58 minutes after being fouled by Shenhua goalkeeper Bao Yaxiong. And 8 minutes later, Kang rose to head Ataro Esaka's corner home. The win sees the South Koreans move off the bottom of the 12-team standings and above Australia's Central Coast Mariners, who have now been eliminated with the tournament entering into a 2-month break. The top 8 finishers in the league phase from both West and East Asia advanced to the knockout rounds, and so far, no team from the eastern half has confirmed their progress to the next phase. Shenhua remain in 9th position on 7 points. And on to Premier League, Manchester City snapped a 7-game winless streak as Kevin De Bruyne played a starring role in a 3-0 Premier League win over Nottingham Forest. De Bruyne's return to the starting lineup for the first time in nearly 3 months helped resume normal service at the Etihad Stadium. It took just 8 minutes for City to make the breakthrough. Ilkay Gundogan's cross was headed back towards goal by De Bruyne, and Bernardo Silva was in the right place to tap home. De Bruyne settled City nerves on 31 minutes when he collected Jeremy Doku's pass inside the area and coolly slotted into the top corner. Erling Haaland has now failed to find the net in his last 3 Premier League games. But the Norwegian did play a part in the third goal with the assist for Doku, who cut inside and fired into the far corner. City moved back into the top 4 and within 9 points of Liverpool. Meanwhile, Arsenal worked their set-piece magic to beat Manchester United 2-0 on Wednesday, ending Ruben Amorim's unbeaten start to life in the Old Trafford hot seat and closing the gap on Premier leaders Liverpool. United frustrated home side at the Emirates in a cagey first half. The game picked up tempo at the start of the second half. A re-energized Arsenal put United under pressure, finally breaking the deadlock in the 54th minute when Timber headed his first goal for the club from a Declan Rice near-post corner. Arsenal doubled their lead from a Bukayo Saka corner in the 73rd minute when Partey's header at the back post hit Saliba and beat Andre Onana. Arsenal have scored more goals from corners, 22, than any other side in the Premier League since the start of last season. Onana got down well to save a Kai Havertz shot as Arsenal threatened to cut loose. The Gunners, who had a bleep last month, are now back in the groove with their 3rd league win in a row. In another match, Liverpool's 7-game winning run came to a dramatic end as Fabian Schär's last gasp equaliser forced the Premier League leaders to settle for a thrilling 3-3 draw at Newcastle. Arne Slot's side were seconds away from wrapping up yet another victory in a dream start to the season after Mohamed Salah scored his 2nd goal of the game in the closing stages. But in keeping with a testing evening on Tyneside, Liverpool were unable to hold on as Schär punished a mistake from Liverpool keeper Quivin Kelleher. Alexander Isak's first-half rocket had put Newcastle ahead before Curtis Jones levelled soon after the interval. Anthony Gordon restored Newcastle's lead before Salah's double took him to 15 goals in all competitions this season, including 9 in his last 7 league games. With 18 victories in 21 matches this season, it was a surprise to see Liverpool rattled by Newcastle's tenacious high press. Dropping points for the first time since a 2-2 draw at Arsenal on 27 October, Liverpool's lead at the top of the table is down to 7 points. In Formula One, Lewis Hamilton will bring down the curtain on his Mercedes career in Abu Dhabi on Sunday as his past and future Formula One teams, McLaren and Ferrari, fight for a constructors' title to end years of waiting. Even if Red Bull's Max Verstappen secured his 4th successive championship last month in Las Vegas, eras will end with the final checkered flag of the season under the Yas Marina floodlights. McLaren, who took Hamilton to his first title in 2008 but were last champions in 1998, are 21 points clear of Ferrari, the sport's oldest and most successful team chasing a first crown since 2008. Whoever comes out on top will end a 15-year run where only Red Bull and Mercedes have won championships. Hamilton, the most successful driver in the history of Formula One with 7 titles and 105 wins, has been part of Mercedes' family for 26 years, but is joining Ferrari at the end of the month. Hamilton, twice a winner this season, can only agree after the low of 12th in Qatar last Sunday, with 2 penalties and a puncture. In other news, quadruple world champion Max Verstappen's home Dutch Grand Prix will drop off the calendar after 2026. A one-year extension has been agreed with the local promoter for 2026, with the race at Zandvoort to be held in the sprint format for the first time. The seaside race at an old-school circuit has become a raucous sold-out party for Verstappen's orange army of fans, accustomed to cheering the Red Bull driver on to yet another victory. Verstappen, who secured his fourth successive title in Las Vegas last month, was beaten into second place at Zandvoort this year by McLaren's Lando Norris. That was the first time since the race returned to the calendar in 2021 after 36 years of absence that Verstappen had not triumphed at Zandvoort. Formula One is keen to include an African round while both Germany and France are currently absent. The Spanish Grand Prix in Barcelona, Belgian Grand Prix at Spa and Imola in Italy are all seen as candidates for rotation from 2026. The Formula One season ends in Abu Dhabi on Sunday.
76 minit tanpa henti.
76 minutes non-stop.
Transparent and concise.
Paparan komprehensif, ringkas dan padat. Saksikan Kanta 744 7:44 malam. Berita perdana 8 malam.
Malaysia tonight, 8:30 p.m.
Saksikan secara langsung Festival Filem Malaysia ke-33 Sabtu 7 Disember 2024 8.30 malam #Evolusi Sinema Malaysia #Filem Kita Citra Kita di TV2 Dunia Ria.
That's it from us. Just a recap of top story. South Korean Parliament introduces motion to impeach President Yoon Suk-yeol following botched attempt of imposing martial law. Do join us again this evening on TV1 and saluran Berita RTM or TV1 for more. Alternatively, you can stream us online on RTM Click's website and mobile application. Till then, Malaysia, from the river to the sea, Palestine will be free. I'm Brendan Lapal. Take care.